Hello and a very warm welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm Chris Bishop. Now this week we delve into the world of mining. It's a fascinating world. That a wise man once said, if you can understand mining, you can comprehend the world. We are talking to an entrepreneur who grew up in the world of mining and has made his fortune from it. We welcome Christo Fourie, a quantity surveyor by trade who took his chance with his life savings and now turns over millions of dollars every year. Let's take a quick look at what he does.
The mining, petrochemical and infrastructure sectors are not the first to come to mind when one thinks of starting a business. But Christo Fourie was thinking about them when he spotted a gap in the market that not many were looking for in 1995.
Christo Fourie saw an opportunity in the market for engineering services. The company was basically started by Christo and his wife, and they followed later there by opening the office in Braamfontein.
Professional Cost Consultants, or PCC, today considers itself one of the leading and most experienced practices in engineering.
Well, PCC is a quantity surveying company that's primarily quantity surveying services. We've also expanded our services to contract management, estimating and those type of project control services.
PCC focuses on providing project expertise in minerals such as platinum, diamonds and gold. One of the company's key strategies is its values. Philip is adamant that clients need to be kept satisfied at every stage of a project.
Our target market is basically the big mining houses and also some of the more junior mining houses. Recently we're also looking at some infrastructure projects which some of the big parastatals are doing. It's basically all clients that does engineering type projects.
Since the birth of PCC, the company has noticed a few challenges in recent times to which they are determined to overcome.
I think some of the major challenges we're facing is, first of all, the skill shortage we have, and that's not just South Africa, it's worldwide in the construction industry. What we're doing is we're trying to get students out of university and try and train them. Some of our challenges is also to expand our international footprint. As I explained, we've started offices in Australia, and we're also looking at expanding to South America.
The company has about a century in combined experience and relies on input from a range of practitioners. PCC has now got to the point where it is considering expanding.
You know, Christo and his wife started the company back in '95 in his office in Kempton Park. Office then expanded. We opened an office in Braamfontein where PCC's offices first started, and then from there on we moved to these offices. After that we've expanded to an office in Victoria. We've also opened 18 months ago an office in Perth, and then also we have an office in the Western Cape.
One of PCC's successes lies in how it developed control systems. These systems keep the company in business as they are a constant source of revenue. Christo Fourie's unique vision all those years ago seems to have secured the company's current success, and signs point to it doing the same in the future.
So with me in the studio I have the man behind PCC, Christo Fourie. Welcome to the show. Now you were born into a mining family in very much a mining community, Allen Ridge in the Free State, the place where gold was first found in that province. Just tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up there.
Yeah, we were a family of 6 children. I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Obviously, it was a very small mining town in the northern Free State, close to Welkom. I went to primary school at Allen Ridge, and then my high school I finished off in Oendendalsrus because there is no high school in Allen Ridge. So we used to travel by bus every day to Oendendalsrus, which was about 10 to 16 kilometers from Allen Ridge.
And your father was a full-time miner going underground all your life. It's a very tight-knit community, these mining communities where you grew up. Just tell us a little bit more about him and the place.
Yeah, he grew up on the farm in the old Transvaal near Middelburg, and they moved down to the Free State to become a miner. And he was a miner all his life. And then from being a miner, he then became a shift boss, and eventually he was moved to surface, where he worked in the store as a storeman.
And he must have in your childhood must have seen like the strikes, the accidents as well. Those really used to rock those small mining communities.
Yeah, my dad was, while he was a miner, he was also involved in an accident where there was a rock burst and he had a bad cut on his shoulder. So rock bursts were very common in those times. And I used to work during my university holidays on the mine to earn additional money to pay for my studies, and was also involved one December holiday in a strike that was on the mine, which was quite scary.
And also, you decided in the end not to go down the mine on yourself, and you just had to pursue another career.
Yeah, no, working holidays in the mine, and as a youngster, I said to myself, that's not where I want to go for my future. There's got to be easier ways of making a living.
And you went to college, you qualified as a quantity surveyor.
Yeah.
You worked for several people, but you saw that gap and you decided to take your life savings, which was your pension money.
That's right.
And invest it. Just tell us, what was it gave you that entrepreneurial idea? I mean,
I think obviously growing up in a small community, and then when I went to the University of the Free State, coming out of the university, you quickly after the first year or two realized that although the degree is fairly technical, that there's a big gap to actually start your own practice. And after about a year and a half working down in Welkom with one of the quantity surveying practices in the country, I realized that you know, to advance in life, I've got to move to Johannesburg, because that's where the money and the action is.
It was a big risk, though. I mean, you must have gone home one night to tell your wife, look, sorry, there's going to be a lot of risk. How did she take it?
My wife has always been supportive of me, and she said, you know, if there's a chance in life, you must take it. So we moved up to Johannesburg, and I worked for a company called Edward L. Bateman, or Bateman Projects, for about 3 years. And then I was approached by a company called CP de Leeuwen Partners, who were one of the third largest practices in the country in quantity surveying, to start a separate division for them to provide services to the mining fraternity.
When you actually started on your own, I mean, you were saying before the show that your wife was your secretary and your PA at the time. But how small did you have to start? How humble were those origins of your company now?
Yeah, when I started PCC in 1995, August 1995, it was me and my wife. Started from home, because obviously I had to keep the cost down. So it was me and my wife for 6 months before I started getting enough work to appoint somebody else to assist me. And
how difficult was it trying to get your first customers, get your first business in all those years ago?
It was very tough because, you know, the country was going through a change with the new government coming on board. So there was a lot of uncertainty. The first work that I obtained was from Eskom, which entailed me to go to the schools that were built in all the townships, to go and determine the cost of those schools, because Eskom sponsored a lot of the electrical installation in those schools. And that's how I picked up my first work, was via Eskom. So it was quite tough.
And this must be quite difficult times. I mean, a lot of people were cutting back, holding back. They were uncertain, as you say.
That's right.
The government had just recently changed. What was your take on it at the time?
I saw that as an opportunity. I mean, any change in life, sometimes people see the opportunities. I saw the opportunity. And one of my bigger clients with my previous employer was the old JCI. And at that point in time, Anglo Platinum was born out of JCI. And I saw that opportunity where, you know, the Anglo Platinum is going to become a major player in the platinum industry. So I moved with my Anglo Platinum clients that I knew before. And we actually built the company the first 5 years on all the work we got out of Anglo Platinum.
Was there ever a time when you perhaps thought, well, perhaps I should just pack it in, this is too much for me, I can go back to working for someone else?
No, I was quite excited about it, because it took me about a year to to start picking up quite a lot of appointments from Anglo Platinum, and then De Beers was planning to build Urapa #2 plant in Botswana, and I was approached by the De Beers people to provide quantity surveying services on that project, and that was a very big project. In 1995, I think that project was valued at about 2 billion rand.
Was there a day when you thought to yourself, finally, I think I've got it, I think I've cracked this one? Was there any particular day or job you remember where you thought, this is it for me?
I think in 2000, 2001, I realized that I've got a good foundation, I've got some good clients now, and the company can only go from strength to strength. My intention was always to build a practice with only about 8 or 10 people. But fortunately, with the amount of work that we picked up, we just kept growing.
How difficult was it to grow? I mean, even though you were getting strong business coming in from the mining industry, there's always that problem when you start growing, perhaps you start losing a bit of control here and there in your company. What difficulties did you have?
Our biggest difficulty is that the quantity surveyors in South Africa are all trained to provide services in the commercial building industry and not in mining projects. So the skills were not there. There were very few people with the skills that we were looking for. So we embarked on employing people out of university or out of colleges when they qualified, and we then trained them. And that can take up to 5 years to train a degree quantity surveyor out of university in the skills that we would like to see in the mining environment.
And that's one of the big issues of mining as well, isn't it? This shortage of skills. Yeah. How do you feel that it's going in the industry right now, the skills shortage?
I think the skills shortage, both in the mining houses and in the type of consultancies that we work in, are very scarce, especially in the middle management side. You know, you've got a lot of youngsters, and then you've got a lot of older people that's got skills, but middle management is lacking, both in the mining houses and also in the consultancies that we work in.
And what is the competition like for skills in your industry?
Very tough. There's only about 6 or 7 practices that do what we do in the country, and we're the largest on the engineering or mining environment. So the skills, to get skills, it's very tough because it doesn't help to employ from the other competitors, because it just escalates your salaries.
And just quickly, how do you transfer those skills to people? I mean, how much of a mission is it to bring people up to a level?
When they come out of university, they're very green. So we have research and development topics that we do every year, and we mentor and train the guys. To become a registered quantity surveyor, you've got to do 3 years in-service training in any case. So we have an obligation to the people coming out of university and college to train them, to then in 3 to 5 years go and do their assessment of professional competency. And there's guidelines of what training the guys require.
Okay, just hold that thought there. We're going to talk a lot more about mining in the second half. We're talking to Christo Fourie, the head of PCC, Mining Consultants and Quantity Surveyors. We're going to a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more about what goes on in the business. See you after this.